ways shall be forever. Jesus, my firm foundation in shifting sands, my strength and hope through many fears and failures, the disappointments of the past. His constant love has held me fast. So for all my days I will sing my praise to the King forever, Jesus. Though the storms may rage, He is strong to save. He's the King forever, Jesus. My song of joy shall be forever, Jesus, who bore the suffering, who made a way. His life a gift, His death a precious ransom that wipes the sinner's guilt away and turns our night to glorious day. So for all my days I will sing my praise to the King forever, Jesus. Though the storms may rage, He is strong to save. He's the King forever, Jesus. My final breath shall be forever, Jesus, when shadows lengthen before my eyes. My Lord and friend, companion through the valley, when dearest ones are left behind. His hand will lead me to the light. So for all my days I will sing my praise to the King forever, Jesus. Though the storms may rage, He is strong to save. He's the King forever, Jesus. When I meet His gaze, I will sing my praise to the King forever, Jesus. All my sorrows past, I am home at last with my King forever, Jesus. You're my King forever, Jesus. You're my King forever, Jesus.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome here, first of all. My name's Jerry, and I'm the pastor of the church here. And as most of you know, we have the building open every Wednesday lunchtime, 12:30 through till 2, so that you've got a bit of flexibility as to when you come in, when you leave, and you're welcome to be as long or as short as you like. What we try and do is provide some good food, both for the body and for the soul as well. So we hope that the opportunity simply to sit and to chat with one another, enjoy some good food, good soup, and enjoy the chat as well. And a part of that, we do try and feed in the scriptures. We take God at his word when he says that it is nourishment for us, that we don't live just by physical bread alone, the way that we're made. We actually need something that nourishes our hearts, that refreshes our spirits, and the Bible underlines that that's what it is, basically. It's bread for the soul. And so what we do on a Wednesday lunchtime is really just take the opportunity for a few minutes to pause, to reflect, and to have our reflection really shaped by and defined by Scripture, by what God has said. And that's really with a view to kind of helping you to relaunch into the rest of the day, into the rest of the week, because we often end up even halfway through a day or halfway through a week pretty battered, pretty messed around, and sometimes just figuring, that's a total mess that I've made. I wish I could start again. Good news, in and through what God has done, we're able to start again and again and again. And that's why we call it ReLaunch, just an opportunity to start all over again. This month, what we're doing is simply slowly working our way through a single chapter of the Bible. It's a fascinating story that is told that tells something of the ministry of Jesus, the things that he did. And John is the writer of this, and we're reading in John chapter 11. And I've called the series for the month simply Dead End. Because that often is what it feels like to us in life, that we make certain choices, we follow certain paths and discover then, actually that was a bad choice, bad move, and it kind of feels like a total dead end. Things happen and we wonder really, where do I go from here? And it is the story of a man who died. The early verses of the chapter, we started in it last week. The early verses of the chapter tell us a little bit about the guy. His name was Lazarus. Nothing particularly special about the guy except that he had two sisters. He lived in Bethany. And most important, we're told that Jesus loved them. And we're just trying to get a hold of that for ourselves, that always is the bottom line in our existence as human beings, that the God who made the world, he loves us. He has a care for us. He has, we're told in the Bible, he has compassion over all that he's made, which means he kind of feels what we feel. He feels our pains. He shares our sorrows. He feels just where we're at. And that's what we're told about this guy Lazarus, that Jesus loved him. So the guy Lazarus became ill. His sisters sent an urgent message to Jesus, who was a good long way away. And there weren't planes that he could hop on. There weren't kind of emergency helicopters that he could fly down to. It was a good 2-day journey that he had to get there. And he didn't come immediately. And we thought a little bit about that last time as to why he didn't come immediately. And we pick up the story today, really focusing upon one of the sisters of Lazarus, the sister called Martha. You may have heard of Martha and Mary. It's the same Martha and her sister Mary. And we're reading about the way in which she met Jesus. So, reading in from verse 17 of John 11. On his arrival in Bethany, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now, Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. This really is just kind of setting the scene for us, first of all, so that we've got a feel for what is going on here. And it helps us, I think, just to understand that Martha is just a lovely lady. She sometimes gets a bad press because she's compared to her sister Mary, and Jesus spoke about Martha and Mary and said that Mary has chosen the good thing, and we assume therefore that Martha was a kind of baddie, but Martha was a lovely lady. You would have loved Martha. And one of the reasons here that the Jews come out from Jerusalem, trudge the 2 miles across the valley to Bethany, a little bit of a climb and a little bit of a walk, but they go there to the home of Martha because the one thing they know is that they will get a good tea when they get there. It'll be probably scones, cream, jam, the lot. So even although they're going to kind of comfort Martha, they're very happy to do so because Martha is, she would be saying to Mary Berry, you sit down, let me show you how you really do it. She was skilled in the kitchen, culinary expertise. You'd have got a good spread. There'd have been scones, there'd have been brownies, there'd have been cakes, there'd have been the lot, and you would have been well fed. A lovely lady to go and visit. And we have this scene here where she obviously had warmed herself to a load of folk who knew her and the family well enough to be happy to go the distance and travel to see her. So that's just first thing about Martha. When we read on in the next verse, we find that when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Now, this is a lady reacting to grief. This is really the second heading, I suppose, for us to get a hold of. And another reason why I think you would like Martha. People react differently to grief. Grief is a very real thing. It's a very sore thing. And all of us find our own ways of coping with sorrow and with pain. And Martha and Mary clearly were very different in the way that they responded to the pain of grief and the pain of hurt and the pain of disappointment. And the thing about Martha is you always know where you stand with Martha. She's just straight out there. And she's going to be straight in to speak to Jesus politely, courteously, graciously, as a friend. But she's not going to hide how she feels. And so one of the good things about Martha is you always know where you stand with her. If she's worried about something, she'll tell you she's worried about something. If she thinks that your hair is parted in the wrong way, she'll tell you. If she thinks that you don't suit a beard, she'll tell you. She's just kind of out front, shoots from the hip and tells you the way things are. And so when she hears that Jesus is coming, she's out straight away to meet him. And in a sense, that's her way of coping with grief. She just pours it all out. Mary is kind of different, but Martha pours it all out. And that's one of the things that the Lord exhorts us to do. Psalm 62, the psalmist brings the encouragement there to us. He says, trust in the Lord at all times. You people, pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge. You know, he's a safe person to pour your heart out to. If you're cut up, if you're disappointed, if you're hurt, you're worried, you're frightened, if you're angry, you just pour it all out. God says, yeah, I can handle that. Just give me the lot. Don't pretend to be kind of pious and clothed the way you're feeling with pious phrases. Just tell me, he says, give me your heart. And that really is the whole burden of the Bible. God simply wants your heart. He doesn't want your 100% performance as though you somehow were going to please him by what you did. He loves you, and he just wants your heart. And that's what Martha gives. So she pours out her heart to Jesus here. Lord, she said to Jesus, verse 21, if you had been here, my brother would not have died, but I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. And Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. She would have been a lovely person, not just because of her culinary skills and the baking, home baking, and not just because she tells you as it is, but also because she gets it wrong sometimes, and she makes mistakes in the way that we make mistakes. And here's one of the ways that she gets it wrong. What she does is she gets it wrong because she assumes, as often we do, that if God is with me, then bad things won't happen. So when a bad thing like bereavement, and presumably an untimely bereavement, when that happens, she's kind of figuring that's because you weren't here, that God was not with me. That's a line that is regularly repeated through the Bible by individuals. And it's a line that regularly we embrace ourselves, that we kind of assume that if God is with me, then why is this happening to me? Surely if God is with me, bad things won't happen. But they do. And that's what she's saying. If you had been here, like that's the problem. You weren't here with me. And Jesus kind of corrects that by saying, no, a bad thing has happened. But as we saw last time, read to the end of the story. Your brother will rise again. And that's the perspective in which we have to view our lives, that God is with us. And we're going to play ourselves out of this scripture just a moment or two with a song that reminds us God is for us. So we won't fear the battle. We will walk the valley, however dark it may be, because he is with us. But bad things may happen, but that's not the last story, the last sentence in the story for us. We read to the end. That's mistake number one. She moves on to mistake number two. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. She was a kind of good Jew. She believed in all that Jews believe on the basis of the Bible, that there will be a resurrection at the last day. Yes, she says, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Mistake number two on the part of Martha here is the assumption that the resurrection that the Bible speaks about is an event, is a future event, when in reality it's a risen person, it's Jesus. The resurrection is not really ultimately an event somewhere up the future that we're just kind of waiting for. The resurrection, the resurrecting power of God is a person, namely this person, Jesus, who has prevailed over death, is risen from the dead, alive, and meets not just the Marthas and Marys of the world, but ourselves today. The resurrection is a person. And when we encounter this person, Jesus, in our lives, then we come to know in the here and now the resurrecting power of the living God who transforms our circumstances. As Martha and Mary's circumstances are about to be transformed. You're going to have to come back next week for that, though. And Jesus rounds it off by simply saying this, do you believe this? Yes, Lord, she replied, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God who is to come into the world. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God who is to come into the world, that you bring all that deity is. And you bring the power of God, you bring the wisdom of God, you bring the love of God, you bring the presence of God. That's what I believe. I believe that, and Jesus is saying, so hold on to this. I'm the resurrection and the life, because that resurrecting power of God transforms our experiences, breathes life into us, and enables us to face whatever is coming and see him at work through that. May that help you to relaunch into the rest of today, the rest of the week, the rest of your life. Have this Jesus with you. He is what he says on the 10. He is the Messiah. He is the Son of God. He brings that power. He brings that help. He imparts life. You live with him and watch him the way that he transforms your circumstances. God our Father, thank you for reminding us of that. Thank you that you've given your Son. And all of us, as we kind of sit around here, and those who are sharing with us online today, and I welcome to them as well, but all of us, there are issues in our lives that for many of us have just pained us, hurt us, and even today are really troubling us. We don't know what to do. We could wish that they might be changed. And so thank you for reminding us that in Jesus, you come to us as the one who is the resurrection and the life, who can turn things around in the most remarkable ways. And we'd ask simply for one another, whatever our circumstances, they're known to you. We'd ask, please, that you would do that. You are the God who's come to be with us, the God who's come to be for us, and we thank you for that. Help us to live out our lives on that basis for your own name's sake. Amen. Good. Well, enjoy the rest of your lunch. Enjoy the chat. And as I say, lovely to have you here. Lovely to have you with us online as well. God bless you all.